there's some like economic conspiracies going on, like they do the whole time. Just because you're not, well, the average Joe, because the average Joe don't know too much about, especially about economics. That doesn't mean there's a crisis going on or starting to happen, unfolding. I mean, bond yields curve. Bond yields curve. Oh yeah, that was one. And bond yield curved like twice already the past year. And I guess curve means when short time borrowing is cheaper than long term treasury notes, or the opposite. Long term notes something gets cheaper, and a 2-year, 10-year when they curve. I just a fear about that, and like past week, overnight lending. Yeah, it's been a week now. Federal Reserve had to lend banks because banks didn't have the money to lend to each other for the overnight. So the Federal Reserve came in and say, hey, we got $75 billion. We'll put $75 billion a day in it. And the system's broke, and so they say the system's broke, question mark, etc., etc. Play on people's, I ain't gonna say unintelligence, well, people lack of wisdom, or I can't say unintelligence, but lack of wisdom. But usually but banks always borrow from one another. It's like they gotta meet reserve requirements. They gotta have a ninth on deposit that they lend out. 1/9, 11% reserve requirements. Yeah, it's a sign of weakness, but that banks overextended themselves, but when they can't lend to each other, when interest rates hiked all the way up as high as 9%, to borrow to have the regulation, the reserve requirement regulation, But anyways, they're pumping in, like Federal Reserve's pumping in until October 10th. So 18 days, 17 more days after a week, and -4, 13 more days. Is that about right? 14, 13 days. So altogether, they pumped in like, I guess 85 billion or something for like 15 business days. 17 business days in all, I guess. That's $1.5 trillion. Well, mathematics, right? But Powell's suggestion, that's because Powell's reasoning explanation is that corporations are paying their taxes, which taxes are due at the end of the fiscal year. End of the fiscal year is September 31st. And I mean, I don't know what the calculation of days would be till the 10th. I don't know. Today's like the 23rd. Yeah, 23rd. So another 7 plus 10, 17 days minus 4. 13 days. Maybe 2 more, 11 days. And they've been doing this for 5. So 16 days in all. And they're pumping in. We tried to pump a small amount, like 45 billion, but that didn't work. So it'll probably average out to, I'm not sure if it's 85 billion, I might be wrong, 65 billion, whatever. For 17 days, which makes kind of sense, you know. Corporate taxes are like, there was like 1.5 trillion before Trump did his tax cut. So that is 50% off tax cut, which reduced from 34 to 21%. So that makes it $1 trillion, and plus all the capital money the corporations are making, probably puts it back up like, you probably put it up at $1.3 trillion or $1.4 trillion, which is a good explanation. I mean, Powell suggested that's probably what's happening. He ain't give for a guarantee on it, but it's like all his deposits, like like $1.5 trillion, $1.2 trillion. Let's just say $1.2 trillion, because it makes sense that it makes more sense that that's what corporations are. The combined corporations are paying in taxes $1.2 trillion. Let's just say that's more logical. And so they're pulling that money out of their banks, out of bank accounts. I mean, so the banks ain't got that on deposit no more as a reserve requirement. So of course they're gonna borrow from one another. Perhaps this shit happens every year, every fiscal year, or maybe banks just tremendously lend out too much money. I mean, not too much, but you know, enough to have enough for the maximum of the maximum that they're allowed, counting the deposits on hand they manage. I mean, I mean, it's kind of sad to see $1 trillion withdrawal. But a corporation, or $1.2 trillion, whatever it is, for a corporation to pay taxes, but they had to pay taxes, right? So of course they're going to pull it out, you know what I mean? So the banks are short of that money, because they ain't got it on deposit no more. Corporations are pulling it out. And I'm sure this happened before. I mean, I said back in 2008, but 2007, 2008, but whatever. There's a lot more people buying stocks, depositing, pulling out their money out of the bank accounts and fucking buying stocks, or money accounts, whatever. But the banks ain't got it. They're short that supply somewhere. Probably both. Well, probably new policy too of fiscal or Fannie Mae policy of Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac is going to use Vantage Score instead of fiscal aid to do home lending. I don't think that would be significant. That significant. I mean, as high as rents going up, I'm surprised majority of Americans ain't buying homes. But anyways, well, it makes logical sense. I mean, or either people invest the money, more people. It's holding it at a bank. But there's so many different possibilities added, as well as corporations are paying their taxes, you know. So yeah, banks is lent out. I mean, if they're $1 trillion short in taxes, or $1.2 trillion or $1.5 trillion, whatever the Federal Reserve is doing, replenishing the banks for the reserve requirements, it's not a big issue. I mean, explanations there. The banks they ain't got their reserve requirements on demand, or they ain't got their reserve requirements in deposit, and it makes perfect sense that corporations are paying their taxes fiscal year. Duh. And I mean, not a lot of people are astute or whatever in the reserve requirements, etc., etc. But and also, like the weekend before, Saudis fuel storage and refinery, major storage and refinery, got blew up by a fucking, what do you call it, a drone. No more, they got to take airlines to smashing something. They could just they hijack an airline. The only thing they could do is build like a $7,000 drone and just put a missile on that motherfucker. And hit a refinery. Actually, probably don't even need a missile. Yeah. Make sure it's going fast enough. Wipe in that and destroy it. I mean, fuel. It's gonna burn. What you gotta do is crush a hole in it. Yeah. But anyways, Saudis is the head of the pack when it comes to crude oil, priced in dollars. I mean, they're at the head of the pack of OPEC. They're the leader of OPEC. So whoever they decide, pretty much OPEC sides with. Okay, you want price in dollars? Okay, price in dollars. All right, so they got this fuel that's no longer there. So they're not so then they're not getting dollars no more. And of course, dollars, you know, where you want to deposit dollars, you ain't gonna deposit Saudi Arabia and their currency, whatever their currency is. You want to probably you gonna hold it at a bank that specializes in U.S. dollars, and so that deposit's not on demand. Or they expected direct deposits or whatever. However way they do things. So I was reasoning that could be the cause too. I mean, it takes anywhere from a month to 3 months to find out economic stuff, facts. Yeah. Because companies report earnings quarterly. And economic data, government economic data don't come out but monthly. Well, it makes perfect sense, you know. That refinery, Saudi refinery and storage and corporations who draw on the money. I mean, we seen this shit back in 2007, housing lenders, but but banks just didn't trust one another to lend out to one another because of the subprime crisis. And home foreclosures. And so banks were scared, but they weren't scared. They weren't so much scared as they have the money. And it seems like there's a lot of demand for money. Banks are short their reserve requirements, which makes shit sense because there's about 11 corporations. Businesses and stuff like that, you know, they got to pay their corporate taxes. I wonder what the average is for a corporation or business. They got to pay their corporate taxes. Probably $100 individuals to one corporation. Makes perfect sense on average. But, there's like individuals, they go in different banks. They use different banks for different stuff. And so everybody's paying so corporations, not everybody, but every corporation is paying their taxes. Put in a draining system. That's no reserve requirement. Banks need to meet their reserve requirement. And lent out most they can. The system's entwined too much. It's intertwined in itself and intertwined internationally. But well, I'm not sure what the price of how much of Saudi's crude went down. Contracts and all, probably a good 100 billion. Now, maybe not that mighty. Supply 20% of the world. I don't know. Saudis got some cheap ass crude over that way, or the Canadians, not the Saudis, it's Canadians. They've been selling under market prices, far under. At least last year. Canadians grow, we grow. Doing that fracking, solid business. I was just thinking if I got things plugged in. But yeah, I mean, people play on a lack of wisdom, lack of knowledge, understanding. This crisis is coming. Oh, the feds are broke, or the banks are broke, because they got borrowed from the Federal Reserve. All of them were borrowing from the Federal Reserve. They can't borrow from each other because none of them got anything. They're broke. No, they ain't broke. They're making money. Making about 20% for each credit card, 6% for each home loan, and about 8% for each car loan. They're making money. And you times all that by 9, average it out somewhere, times it by 9. Car loans and consumer credit and home loans, they probably average out to 15%. I wouldn't say that high. I would say 6%, 10%. Probably average out to 10%. Times 9. Banks are doubling their money. Profits, record profits. I should invest in. I should buy a few shares in some banks, because I'm sure I'm sure there's a panic somewhere when there shouldn't be. And we get newscasters like Kim Iverson, who really don't know thoroughly what she's talking about. I mean, she knows top, like, she knows basics, you know. I know basics too, and I talk, but I'm not a journalist where thousands are relying on me for news, you know. And I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. And I got that much people that fucking listening, watching me, listening to me, watching my show, listen to me. Yeah, I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. Oh, there's a crisis, there's a scare going on, there's a crisis. There's a couple of them. It's got like 100,000 subscribers, you know. Yeah, it's a problem because we haven't seen the problem since like problem like this sort since 2007, 2008. Economic collapse, but you gotta make sense out of it, you know. And it's just not our economy, you know, our domestic economy. It's trade too, crude oil trade. They're priced in dollars, you know. It's another factor we gotta consider, you know. Banks just ain't got that reserve requirement. They just ain't got it. And the military's responding. We're going to send troops over there. Well, this world is definitely different than the 1930s, you know. The Great Depression, 1930, 29 and 1930s. Lasted so prolonged, procrastinatingly long. But policies ain't so socially no more. Social, domestically social, you know. It's like we used to look out for each other, for one another Americans. Now we're like policing and international. Russia's got their fucking selling their oil, huh? And whatever exchanges they do. But at least we ain't got, you know, total dominance on oil like we had, you know. had her gain in crude oil, like fucking Afghanistan, Iraq, and Libya. I mean, they want to price their oil and something else, and $9. Iraq says gold. Libya said, I forgot what Libya. One of them wanted prices in gold, the other one wanted prices in something else. We wasn't going for that. I think it was Iraq tried to price their crude oil for gold, and we wasn't going for that. But you know, regardless of what we did, well, there and kicked the butt. Gasoline still climbed to $4 a gallon, from like $1.50 before Bush was president to like almost $4 before he got out of presidency, like more than twofold. And we kicked ass and it still went up, stayed up high for a while. Drain pockets. People can afford this or that. How to get back and forth to work. Lose their job. While the fellow man's being laid off. I said, well, I have to dedicate myself to the jobs that don't let me off. Paying high gasoline prices. Foregoing their mortgage payments. Houses foreclosed. So never believe this fear-mongering shit. It's like crazy. Man, I'm at Burger King. Been at Burger King. Thinking about eating at Burger King. I think it'd be cheaper if I order at Burger King. I think one time I went in there. Say Monday. Yeah, Monday. Anyways, so much shit, misinformation on YouTube. On the internet, so much misinformation. I mean, you gotta really look around to find information. You gotta really have some fucking knowledge to understand shit. At least basic knowledge, or reasoning, or common sense, you know? Common sense to determine what's true, what's not, etc., etc. You know, either people get spur of the moment, yeah, that's alarming, but do you know what you're talking about? I gotta investigate in that. Then you could search, scour the internet, try to find a better explanation, a reasonable explanation. And you get the answer. Then you're like, yeah, that makes more sense, you know, like Powell, like Federal Reserve Powell. He said that that's probably corporations paying their taxes. But we really don't know, but I would take a good guess at that. Well, banks ain't got the reserve requirements, you know. So, but I believe that's that's about Saudis not be able to trade their oil, not having no stored oil to sell in our dollars. So, so that's loss of deposits. Yeah. A few policy shift changes, etc. Makes perfect sense. Well, I gotta get me something to eat, because I keep on seeing cops go by. Like a lot today. I don't know what that means. Otherwise, have a good day. Don't get misled. Gotta find primary source of information. And a lot of people jump to conclusions. Oh, banks are broke. Broke my ass. I just ain't got the reserve requirements they're supposed to have, you know. Corporations are paying the taxes. Of course, they paid their taxes last year. It wasn't such an outcry of this sort. Was it? I'm gonna search the net. And of course, they managed to pay the $2.5 before Trump's tax cut took effect last year, or last fiscal year. Later.